9 Colored Yuan Deer. Still the leader of the deer tribe, the first deer in the wilderness, seems to have started well. What, it's a ferocious beast catastrophe now, and there are still wolf tribes watching from outside. Ding, the simulator has been loaded. Do you want to start the life simulation? Simulate on. This is the story of a deer, using a simulator to roam freely in the wilderness and dominate the heavens. Keywords of the novel. Flood and wilderness simulation. I am Jyotsai Yuanlu with no pop-ups. Flood and wilderness simulation. I am Jyotsai Yuanlu. Download the complete TXT collection, Flood and Wilderness Simulation. I am Jyotsai Yuanlu. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. I am the Deer Master. At the beginning, I obtained the simulator. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. I am the Deer Master. At the beginning, I obtained the simulator. No matter how many years there is an infinite amount of calamity. In the southern wilderness, Jiuling Mountain. Yuanlu woke up leisurely, his face changing in waves as his memories surged. The innate race is known by birth, and the deer race has been born in Jiuling Mountain for thousands of years. The total number of races has reached tens of thousands, with one leader in the early stage of the Golden Immortal race, 9 leaders of the Xian Immortal race, more than 300 true immortals, and thousands of heavenly immortals. The rest are all small deer who strive to climb immortality. And Yuanlu is the leader of the deer tribe. The 9 Colored Yuanlu. However, the situation of Yuanlu at this time is not very good. Since the birth of the deer tribe, there have been 2 types of innate races coexisting in Jiuling Mountain. In addition to the deer tribe, there are also the wolf tribe. The main members of the wolf tribe, Yuanlang and Yuanlu, are all inferior innate divine and magical abilities. They were born with the early cultivation of the Golden Immortal, and Jiuling Mountain is also large. At the beginning, the 2 tribes could coexist peacefully and live in a divided territory. However, as the number of tribes increased, friction and occasional conflicts began to occur between the 2 tribes. After thousands of years, the 2 tribes have now become a life-to-death relationship. The attacking power of the deer tribe is not as strong as that of the wolf tribe. In every battle, they are always at a disadvantage. The day before yesterday, the wolf tribe made a final decision to fight against the deer tribe, with the winner being the king. In order to protect the ethnic group, Yuanlu proposed to engage in a race against Yuanlang as the leader, and the loser withdrew from Jiuling Mountain. Yuanlang thought he was much stronger than Yuanlu, and with the help of the exotic wolf's head sword, he naturally agreed. This was also true during the battle. Yuanlu was at a disadvantage for a while, but in a crisis, Yuanlu surprisingly took out the inferior Xiantian spirit treasure 9 spirit wands. It should be noted that even if Yuanlang is stronger than Yuanlu, his strength is limited. An inferior Xiantian spirit treasure can change the outcome. However, the wolf clan is cunning. Yuanlang pretended to admit defeat and launched a surprise attack while Yuanlu was unprepared. When Yuanlu was severely injured, he turned around and struck, ultimately falling into a win-win situation. Now Yuanlang should also be recuperating, but his injuries are much better than Yuanlu's. With their cultivation, they can recover for 100 years. The next major war is right in front of them, and if another war breaks out, it may lead to a great war between the 2 clans. The wolf tribe is bloodthirsty and has a stronger combat power than the deer tribe. In the next major battle, even if the Yuan deer bears the 9 spirit staff, the overall situation of the tribe's defeat will inevitably occur. The simulator has been loaded. Do players want to start simulating their lives now? Simulator. Upon hearing this, Yuanlu was startled. Perhaps it was the life simulation game he had played in his past life that he brought over. You should know that Yuanlu was playing a life simulation game before crossing the wilderness, and the background was also the wilderness. Originally, he was just passing the time in his leisure time, but in the end, the simulation suddenly went viral, just like opening a cheat, and he lived for a few Yuan meetings. The terms on the simulator were listed for countless pages. Maybe the CPU couldn't hold on anymore, the computer exploded, and Yuan Lu came. Surprisingly, the simulator was brought over, and it was indeed a never-ending journey. Yuan Lu was supposed to abandon his race and escape, but now it seems that there is no need to escape. Start simulation. Simulate on. 1. You have traveled through the wilderness and become the head of the innate colorful deer tribe, the 9 Colored Yuan Deer. Secondly, due to the healing nature of the Colored Deer clan, your injuries quickly recovered by 80%. Feeling the difficulties faced by your tribe, you decided to leave Jiuling Mountain and seek opportunities. 3. After leaving Jiuling Mountain, you find that there is a multitude of evil energies between heaven and earth. Combined with the memories of previous lives, you finally know that at this moment, it is actually a fierce beast named Liangjie. 4. Due to fear of encountering fierce beasts, you hide your breath and form, and along the way, you have gained many spiritual herbs that are beneficial for recovering injuries and improving cultivation. After 1 year, your injuries have finally fully recovered and your strength has also improved. 5. Another year. With a sudden movement in your heart, you feel that there is an opportunity nearby. You decisively follow your heart to approach, and your efforts live up to those who have the intention. Finally, you realize that the opportunity lies in an innate restriction. In addition to being pleasantly surprised, you spend 10 years directly unlocking the prohibition. Upon entering it, you will see a congenital spiritual root with 9 spiritual fruits on it. You will swallow one of them, the 7. Originally, this spiritual root is a lower-grade innate spiritual root element spiritual fruit tree. Consuming it can enhance cultivation. You spent 100 years consuming all 9 spiritual fruits, and finally broke through the golden immortal middle stage. 8th. You feel the aura of spiritual treasures in the depths of the prohibition, and decisively explore deeper. 9. In the depths of prohibition, when you see a mirror and feel overjoyed, you approach to retrieve treasure, but are covered by a white light shot from the mirror and die on the spot. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 200 years and a cooling time of 200 days. You can obtain one of the following. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. Sure enough, it was still the setting of that game. At this point, what he experienced was not much different from the simulation game he played in his previous life, and the rewards he received were the same, all representing cultivation, mood, and combat experience. I choose the first option. As the words fell, the aura on Yuan Lu's body became restless, and the surrounding spiritual energy began to rush towards him crazily. Yuan Lu's cultivation began to increase at a visible speed, quickly reaching the middle stage of the Golden Immortal. Feeling his own strength, with his current state, even hitting 10 elemental wolves is not a problem. By the middle stage of the Golden Immortal, he has already begun to preliminarily understand the rules. The Deer clan was born with the innate path of creation. As the leader of the Deer clan, Yuan Lu was born as a Golden Immortal, carrying a trace of the law of creation. After 10,000 years of practice, Yuan Lu has even perfected the law of creation to a level of 30%. However, at this time, the world is full of evil energy, and the spiritual mechanism is unknown. It is impossible to break through the bottleneck and go further without a massive accumulation of time. Yuan Lu is like this, and Yuan Lang is also like this. As for going out to search for opportunities, Yuan Lu and Yuan Lang dare not even think about it. Whether it is a ferocious beast or evil energy, they cannot be infected by it now. One mistake will lead to the end of life and death, bearing the weight of the rise and fall of the clan. They dare not take risks. It can be said that the arrival of simulators has saved Yuan Lu a huge amount of time. Just now, Yuan Lu also verified his own conjecture, which is that the simulator is still simulating according to his own ideas. Just like this time, he was originally thinking of going out to find opportunities and break through cultivation. It is the simulator that guides him in this direction, and the outcome is not wrong. Yuan Lu is most afraid of dying as soon as he goes out, which is really a desperate situation. The 40% rule of creation and the cultivation level in the middle stage of the Golden Immortal are no longer a threat to the Wolf Clan. The cooldown time of the simulator is 200 days, and the least valuable thing in the wilderness is time. 200 days is just a bit of cultivation. With a breakthrough in cultivation, Yuan Lu's injuries have all healed. It is precisely when he takes the initiative to attack that he will not sit idly by like his predecessor. Yuan Lang's injuries are similar to his, and he must not have fully recovered at this time. Taking advantage of his illness to kill him and not solving the Wolf Clan, he cannot sleep soundly. Someone, gather everyone to lead over. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Baptism of the Wolf and Deer Tribes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The Baptism of the Wolf and Deer Tribes. On the Luling Peak, Yuan Lu looked at the 9 commanders in front of him. The Deer clan regards the 9 colored as their reverence, and colors represent their qualifications, just like the Yuan Deer. They carry the 9 colored and possess the qualifications of inferior innate gods and demons. In addition, they are the 9 commanders, who carry the 8 colored and possess the top-notch innate spiritual body qualifications. The highest cultivation level can reach the level of Tai Golden Immortal. The vast wilderness is a place where one can only follow one's footsteps. Unless there is an opportunity to overcome the heavens, even if you try hard, it will be in vain. Just like these 9 commanders, if they want to break through the great Luo Golden Immortal, they must first break through the shackles of their bloodline. Of course, there is another method, which is for the Yuan Deer, as the clan leader, to break through the shackles of bloodline, upgrade the overall energy of the clan, and also drive the overall qualification improvement of the Deer clan, forming a bloodline flood. However, it's not easy to talk about it. If it weren't for Yuan Lu crossing over, the Lu tribe wouldn't have had the possibility of becoming a big clan. At least Yuan Lu had read so many flood novels in his past life and didn't see the Lu tribe making any name for themselves. On the contrary, many of them were caught as mounts. Now that Yuan Lu comes with a simulator, the Deer tribe will definitely not end up like this again. Thinking of this, Yuan Lu couldn't help but clench his fist. Patriarch, have you recovered from your injury? A leader from the peak of the Xian Immortal asked cautiously, with a hint of excitement in his words. You should know that these days, the Deer tribe has been in a state of anxiety. The Wolf tribe is like a dark cloud covering the top of the Deer tribe's head, making it difficult for them to sleep and eat. If the Yuan Deer really recovers, they have hope. However, the sneak attack of the Yuan Wolf is not easy. Even if the Yuan Deer carries the law of creation, they cannot recover so quickly. Yuan Lu glanced at the leader, and in his memory, this leader was called Jin Lu. Although the 9 leaders of the Deer tribe carried 8 colors, they were not evenly distributed, just like Jin Lu, who was mainly golden and led the Jin Lu tribe. The next 8 leaders were Silver Lu, Red Lu, Yellow Lu, Green Lu, Blue Lu, Ink Lu, and Purple Lu. Now not only have I recovered from my injuries, but I have also broken through my cultivation level. However, the Yuan Wolf's injuries have not recovered yet. This is the right time to take down the Wolf clan in one fell swoop. Breakthrough. The 9 generals looked incredulous upon hearing this, and then there was a burst of ecstasy. Since Yuan Lu had already broken through, Yuan Lang was definitely not a match for Yuan Lu, and the Lu tribe was saved. Great, that Yuan Lang is only the initial cultivation of the Golden Immortal and is seriously injured. If we attack them at this time, we will definitely be able to defeat them and drive them out of Jiuling Mountain. Looking at the excited red deer on his face, Yuan Lu was somewhat moved. Deer nature is inherently good, and now with such a great advantage, Red Deer only wants to defeat the Wolf clan and drive them out of Jiuling Mountain, rather than exterminate them all. Looking at the other 8 commanders, except for Golden Deer and Ink Deer, everyone else feels that they should be like this. Such a temperament is not easy to live in the wilderness, so let's use the wolf clan to baptize them. Golden Deer, gather the entire clan and kill the wolf clan, leaving no survivors. Leave no survivors. The Golden Deer was surprised when they heard this, while the Red Deer were a bit dull, except for the Ink Deer, which was colorful and excited. Jean Lu's reaction is quick. Although it's strange how Yuan Lu changed his temperament, Jean Lu has always executed Yuan Lu without any discount. Obey me, Jean Lu is going to handle it now. The efficiency of Golden Deer's work is very high. After about 15 minutes, the Deer clan has been gathered. Yuan Deer issued the order to gather the entire clan, so even some young deer are following behind. Since they need to be baptized, they can handle it all at once. Yuan Deer wants to fundamentally change the Deer clan this time. Looking around at the tens of thousands of Deer tribe, Yuan Lu's face was full of coldness. Target Wolf Clan, kill. Under the leadership of Yuan Lu and the 9 commanders, the Deer tribe went straight to kill the Wolf tribe. Although Yuan Lang was seriously injured and practicing, the Wolf tribe did not waste any time. They were actively preparing and waiting for Yuan Lang's injuries to recover. They immediately killed the Deer tribe and wiped them out. However, they never expected that one day, the Deer tribe, who could only defend and escape, would take the initiative to attack. Yuan Lu stands above the Wolf clan, with 3 more leaders than the Deer clan. Yuan Lu doesn't consider using the big to bully the small. He throws out his 9 spirit wands and hits the 4 leaders of the Wolf clan in the Xian Immortal realm one after another. The gap between the Golden Immortal and the Xian Immortal makes all 4 leaders of the Xian Immortal realm turn into corpses without even having a chance to react. Yuan Lu, dare you! At this moment, the aura of Yuan Lu finally startled Yuan Lang, but when Yuan Lang came out, it was already too late, and the 4 leaders of the Wolf clan had no vitality left. This is the heritage of the Wolf tribe. The lips of the Yuan Wolf are trembling with anger, almost causing the injuries that have just been suppressed. Yuan Lu, you are actually bullying the small with the big. Today, I, Yuan Lang, will not rest with you. Kill me. Watching Yuan Lang angrily strike, holding a wolf head sword in his hand, although not innate, it is also a rare treasure. Watching Yuan Lang come up with desperate moves, Yuan Lu couldn't help but smile on his face, which was the effect he wanted. Otherwise, Yuan Lang was determined to escape, and he might not be able to keep it. The 9 spirit wand met the Yuan Wolf, and the cultivation in the middle stage of the Golden Immortal suddenly erupted. Under the Yuan Wolf's frightened gaze, it was forcefully smashed down. No. Feeling the unparalleled power, not to mention that he was injured, even in his prime, he was not an opponent. However, Yuan Lu was clearly injured more than him, so why did he heal so quickly and even break through his cultivation? The wolf head sword fell from the air, carrying a myriad of doubts, and the elemental wolf disappeared between heaven and earth. Clan leader. The Wolf clan, who were fighting underground, was shocked and they saw this scene and couldn't help but shout loudly, hoping to awaken the elemental wolf. Unfortunately, their clan leader could no longer stand up. The Wolf tribe, which originally had the upper hand, suffered a sharp decline in morale due to the death of the Yuan Wolf. 2 of their leaders were even killed by the Golden Deer and the Ink Deer. After an unknown amount of time, the ground was covered with corpses of the Wolf tribe, and there were already very few Wolf tribes who could stand. However, Yuan Lu did not issue an order to stop, so the Deer tribe could only continue to kill, even though their faces were numb by now. Finally, there was no more Wolf tribe on the battlefield. The Golden Deer looked at the Yuan Deer watching the battle in the sky. At this moment, he was finally convinced that their clan leader had changed, but only such a leader could make the Deer tribe stronger. Thinking of this, the Golden Deer couldn't help but feel extremely proud, even the bottleneck of the Golden Immortal had loosened a lot. As for the Yuan Deer in the sky, since the wolf tribe completely fell into a defeat, he no longer paid attention to the war situation. At this time, his vision was filled with an invisible cloud of joy, and the cluster representing luck rapidly increased until it doubled before stopping. This is luck. Yuan Lu looked at the manifestation of his chi fortune in surprise, feeling that his cultivation speed seemed to have increased significantly, and his state of enlightenment had become even clearer. This was the benefit of chi fortune. Thinking of the dragon, phoenix, and Qilin wars, as well as the struggle between Dao and Mo, Yuan Lu finally knew the driving force behind them to become the masters of the vast wilderness and the rise and fall of their entire clan. Clearing his mind, Yuan Lu sighed as he watched as the wolf tribe had been completely wiped out and the deer tribe, who was in a slightly different state, wanted to free the deer tribe from its fate of being enslaved by others. This step must be taken. Remember today, this is the wilderness, and this is just the beginning. As the curtain opens, our enemies will be stronger and more ferocious than the wolf tribe. If we want to avoid being bullied and protect our own people, we must become stronger and more ruthless than others. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Simulation Again, New Death Methods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Simulation Again, New Death Methods. After defeating the Wolf Clan and monopolizing Jiuling Mountain, the chi of the Deer Clan has significantly increased. It is not only Yuan Lu who has benefited, but the entire Deer Clan has entered a period of explosive cultivation. Especially the Golden Deer, at this point, they have already felt the bottleneck loosen and are starting to break through the closed door. Other deer tribes are also similar. As for the work of calming post-war emotions, Yuan Lu handed it over to the kind-hearted red deer, which she is suitable for. After 200 days of cultivation, Yuan Lu's cultivation level has increased significantly, even the laws of creation have been improved by 1 point, reaching a level of 41%. However, Yuan Lu feels that the dividends of the increase in chi luck are almost eaten, and the improvement in cultivation level is not as obvious as before. Fortunately, at this point, the cooling time of the simulator has been completed, and a new life simulation can begin. Start simulation. Simulation on. 1. Your cultivation breakthrough, leading the entire clan to attack the Wolf Clan, achieving a complete victory, seizing the Wolf Clan's luck, greatly increasing the Deer Clan's luck, and further advancing your cultivation. 2. You have been practicing at Jiuling Mountain for 100 years, but your progress is slow. You have decided to leave Jiuling Mountain to seek opportunities. 3. At this moment, the evil energy between heaven and earth becomes even stronger. You encounter a lion beast that has been infected by the evil energy. After a great battle, you use all your means but ultimately lose to the lion beast. Death. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 100 years and a cooling time of 100 days. You can keep one of the following options: I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. This is death, which means it's even more dangerous outside. For the first simulation, Yuan Lu lived for at least 200 years and encountered opportunities to break through his cultivation. This time, he was fortunate enough to directly encounter a lion beast infected with evil energy at his doorstep, but was defeated and died. This made Yuan Lu, who was originally interested in exploring the forbidden area, immediately lose his mind. Although his cultivation growth is slow while staying at Jiuling Mountain, at least his life is not in danger. With the simulator in hand, he will always have a chance to rise to the top. After 100 years of cultivation, there is definitely not much progress. At the Golden Immortal stage, it takes millions of years to increase one's cultivation. However, having a battle with a lion beast should have increased a lot of combat experience. Thinking about this, Yuan Lu's heart has become inclined. I choose the third option. After choosing, Yuan Lu suddenly had many more images in his mind, and his breath surged. So this is actually a lion beast. Looking at the lion beast in the picture with dull eyes and exposed evil energy, Yuan Lu unconsciously felt a bit of pressure. This is still based on the picture. If you face it directly, the pressure may be even greater. Importantly, this lion beast is also in the middle stage of the Golden Immortal period. However, looking at the battle picture, even Yuan Lu holding the 9-spirit staff is still at a disadvantage. Moreover, as the battle progresses, Yuan Lu's disadvantage becomes more and more obvious, and in the end, he is seized of the opportunity to swallow it in one gulp. Scared. At this point in the scene, the experience of this battle is completely integrated with Yuan Lu. At this point, Yuan Lu feels that if he were to fight the lion beast again, he might not be as miserable as before. In 100 days, Yuan Lu had no intention of practicing anymore. He walked out of Luling Peak, and by this time, the deer tribe had already emerged from the Great War 200 days ago. The deer tribe, which had no external threats, was filled with laughter and joy, full of a carefree atmosphere. Of course, not all of them are like this. Walking to the territory of the Ink Deer tribe, Yuan Lu saw that the Ink Deer was actually leading his tribe to cultivate, which was a very different scene from the other 8 deer tribes. Mo Lu was originally in the later stage of Xianxian, ranking second in strength among the 9 commanders. Now, it seems that he has already broken through to the peak of Xianxian, and it seems that he has seized the dividend of improving his luck. Clan Leader. Seeing Yuan Lu approaching, Mo Lu hurriedly came over to pay his respects with excitement on his face. Mo Lu was different from other leaders and had a belligerent nature, which made him stand out among the tribe. However, seeing the wolf tribe bullying the deer tribe, Mo Lu felt that he had no problem, so even if other leaders did not understand, Mo Lu still insisted on his own opinion and led his team to work hard to cultivate. In the battle 200 days ago, Mo Lu saw Yuan Lu's attitude and for the first time felt that his ideas had been recognized. It was during this period that he became even more hardworking. Looking at Mo Lu, Yuan Lu was also somewhat surprised. The deer tribe would still have such a strange flower, but this coincides with Yuan Lu's viewpoint. Although Mo Lu is not suitable for being handsome, as a pioneer, he is the best candidate. In the last battle, besides the Golden Lu, Mo Lu was the most outstanding performer, and Yuan Lu still appreciated him. After thinking for a moment, Yuan Lu handed the wolf head knife obtained from killing Yuan Lang to Mo Lu. I performed well in the last battle. Although our deer tribe won't harm others proactively, we can't tolerate being bullied. I appreciate your ability to lead our tribe to cultivate. Although this wolf head sword is not innate, it is also a rare treasure. I will give it to you. I hope you will continue to work hard. Looking at the wolf head knife handed over by Yuan Lu, Mo Lu's expression became even more excited. He was not understood for a long time, which made him feel very depressed. Now that his performance has been recognized by the clan leader, Mo Lu suddenly felt that his previous efforts and grievances were worth it. Clan leader, rest assured that Mo Lu will continue to work hard to protect our deer tribe from being bullied by foreign tribes. Listening to Mo Lu's resounding words, Yuan Lu couldn't help but nod and said, "All right, if you have any doubts about your cultivation recently, bring them up now and I'll help you answer them." Upon hearing this, Mo Lu became even more excited. This was a treatment he had never received before. He quickly raised many of the problems he encountered in his practice, and Yuan Lu did not hide anything. He answered them one by one, reaching the middle stage of the Golden Immortal cultivation and comprehending the 40% law of creation. These questions may be difficult for Mo Lu, but for Yuan Lu, they are not much harder than drinking water. Leaving from Mo Lu, Yuan Lu went to look at several other leaders. Jin Lu had already reached the edge of breakthrough, and the other leaders also had their own entry points. To Yuan Lu's surprise, more than 10 members of the true Immortal Peak tribe had also closed down and began to break through the Xian Immortal. The entire deer tribe looked prosperous. 100 days passed in the blink of an eye, and Yuan Lu returned to Luling Peak again. This is his territory, and without his permission, no one dares to break in without permission. Start simulation. Yuan Lu wanted to find a quick way to enhance his strength, but the calamity of the ferocious beasts had not yet fully unfolded. As the evil energy grew stronger, one day the ferocious beasts would form a massive force. At that time, the prohibition of Jiuling Mountain may not be able to withstand these ferocious beasts. One mistake would be the end of the downfall of the entire clan. Taking a deep breath, Yuan Lu officially began to simulate. Simulate on. 1. Your cultivation breakthrough, leading the entire clan to attack the wolf clan, achieving a complete victory, seizing the wolf clan's luck, greatly increasing the deer clan's luck, and further advancing your cultivation. 2. You have been practicing at Jiuling Mountain for 100 years, but your progress is slow. You have decided to leave Jiuling Mountain to seek opportunities. 3. Stepping out of Jiuling Mountain, you will find that the evil energy has become even stronger. If you are not careful, you will be infected. You will sacrifice the Jiuling staff, protect the Yuan spirit, and continue to sneak and hide towards the forbidden area where the Yuan spirit fruit tree is located. 4th. An eagle beast infected with evil energy discovered you and launched an attack on you. 5. After a battle, you defeated the eagle beast, but also suffered serious injuries. 6. Dragging your severely injured body, you finally arrived at the forbidden location and spent a year opening it. 7. You have discovered the Yuanling fruit tree, swallowed 9 Yuanling fruits, and finally recovered from your injuries, greatly increasing your cultivation level. 8th. Watching the fluctuation of the spiritual treasure in the depths of the prohibition, you resisted the temptation, left the prohibition, and continued southward. 9. More and more ferocious beasts are being infected by evil energy, and you are becoming more careful. At this moment, a sound of fighting attracted you. Curious, you walked over. 10. You have been affected by the remnants of the battle between Tai and Jingxian, and have passed away. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 500 years and a cooling time of 500 days. You can keep one of the following options. I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. New endings, ethnic crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. New endings, ethnic crisis swept away by the aftermath of the Battle of Tai Jingxian. Yuan Lu was a bit speechless. At least he was also a golden immortal. What a powerful Tai golden immortal, but the aftermath swept him to death. This is really far from the big picture. However, this simulation made a big discovery for Yuan Lu. The forbidden Yuan spirit fruit can be repeatedly used, which means that in the future, he can still improve his cultivation by consuming Yuan spirit fruit. At least it can be considered a path. I choose the first option. I just don't know how much my cultivation has improved in this 500-year period. After selection, the nearby spiritual energy surged towards Jiuling Mountain, causing the spiritual energy of Jiuling Mountain to increase by a large amount. Yuan Lu's cultivation level rapidly improved. Originally only in the middle stage of entering the Golden Immortal, it suddenly increased by 30.4%. That is to say, in 2 or 3 more times, he may be able to break through the later stage of the Golden Immortal. Thinking of this, Yuan Lu felt a surge of excitement. The laws of creation flow through Yuan Lu's body, and the speed of understanding rapidly increases. Soon, it reaches 50%. Looking at the spiritual grass in front of him, Yuan Lu gently transforms it into a flower. This is not a technique of change, but a fundamental change in the form of the spiritual grass, which has already acquired some of the nature of a flower. The way of creation is to create something out of nothing and change the essence of things. At this time, although Yuan Lu had comprehended the 50% law of creation, he was just starting to understand the path of creation. There were rules above the rules, and there were principles above the rules. Like Nyua, who was practicing the path of creation, she could actually create a whole family. Perhaps she needed the Tao to achieve great success. At this moment, a momentum surged up from Jiuling Mountain. Someone is breaking through the golden immortal. Yuan Lu was startled in his heart and looked towards the direction of the surging spiritual energy. It was indeed where Jin Lu was located. This guy was lucky. Just now, the external spiritual energy was attracted by Yuan Lu, and the spiritual energy of Jiuling Mountain was surging, giving Jin Lu the opportunity to break through. It seems that the Lu clan will have an additional Jin Xian today. The momentum of the breakthrough lasted for more than a year before it finally fell. Yuan Lu sensed and found that Jin Lu had successfully broken through, heading towards Luling Peak. Tribe leader, Golden Deer seeks to meet. Come on in. With permission, Jin Lu quickly climbed the mountain peak and looked at Yuan Lu with excitement on his face. Although Jingxian was only one step away from Xuanxian's peak in the early days, it was this step that was a huge difference. Fundamentally speaking, Xian Xian still draws the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into his body, using personal power, while Jin Xian is different. He has initially understood the law and has already used the power of heaven and earth to confront enemies. With all his manpower, how can he resist the power of heaven and earth? The leader of the Xia clan helped the Golden Deer with a helping hand, otherwise the Golden Deer wouldn't know when it would break through. Jin Lu originally planned to break through for 1,000 years, but a few years ago, the spiritual energy of Jiuling Mountain suddenly increased. Although it was in seclusion and something happened outside, only Yuan Lu had the ability to do so in Jiuling Mountain. Jin Lu naturally believed that Yuan Lu's help allowed him to seize a glimmer of spiritual opportunity and successfully break through. Yuan Lu did not deny it. This is your chance. Now that you have broken through the golden immortal, it is a big deal for our deer tribe. Come, host a banquet, and celebrate the success of the Golden Deer leadership with your whole family. Xia clan leader. Seeing that Yuan Lu was going to hold a banquet to celebrate him, I was deeply moved. You should know that there was no such precedent in the previous deer tribe. Yuan Lu smiled slightly. In his past life, he was at least a leader, and naturally had some insights on how to win people's hearts. Whether it was giving Mo Lu the wolf head blade, answering his questions, or hosting a banquet for Jin Lu, it was just a routine operation. The deer tribe feast lasted for 9 days. Since its birth, the deer tribe has not been so lively for thousands of years. Yuan Lu personally presided over it, allowing the deer tribe to not only respect Yuan Lu, but also add a touch of warmth. The breakthrough of the Golden Deer not only made the deer tribe happy, but also put pressure on other leaders, especially the Ink Deer. He is now full of enthusiasm, and seeing that the Golden Deer has already surpassed the Golden Immortal, he naturally does not want to fall behind. Yuan Lu was also delighted to see such changes. On the Luling Peak, Yuan Lu is refining the 9 spirit staff. The 9 spirit wands are the companion spiritual treasures of the Yuan Deer, belonging to the lower grade innate spiritual treasures, containing 10 innate spiritual prohibitions. According to the amount of innate spiritual prohibitions contained, the innate spiritual treasures are divided into lower grade innate spiritual treasures, medium grade innate spiritual treasures, upper grade innate spiritual treasures, and top grade innate spiritual treasures. 1 to 12 innate spiritual prohibitions are considered inferior innate spiritual treasures, 13 to 20.4 are considered intermediate innate spiritual treasures, 20.5 to 30.6 are considered superior innate spiritual treasures, 30.7 to 40.8 are considered top grade innate spiritual treasures, and there are also innate treasures above them. The 9 spiritual wands contain 10 innate spiritual prohibitions, which are also considered superior in the lower level innate spiritual treasures. For thousands of years, Yuan Lu has refined the 9 spirit wands into 6 innate spiritual prohibitions, leaving only the last 4. The further the spiritual prohibitions are refined, the longer it takes. Now that Yuan Lu's cultivation level has improved, it's time to give it a try again. After 100 days, Yuan Lu indeed refined another innate spiritual prohibition, which is more in line with its application. The colors on the body of the deer tribe are not decorations, but play an important role. It should be noted that although the deer tribe is born according to the path of creation, they are also very friendly to the path of the 5 elements of yin and yang in time and space. The mystery lies in the 9 colors. The deer spirit is the race that is most in line with nature in nature, and is also known as the spirit of nature. When practicing, the power of the 5 elements of yin and yang in time and space can be drawn into the 9 colors. It can assist in comprehending the path of creation and also condense divine powers. The 9-spirit wand is a companion spiritual treasure of the Yuan Deer, and so on. The so-called 9 spirits are actually the 5 spirits of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, as well as the 2 spirits of yin and yang plus the 2 spirits of time and space. This is a spiritual treasure that can grow. As long as some spiritual treasures belonging to the 5 elements of yin and yang in time and space can be found or spiritual materials can be fused with the 9-spirit wand, the innate spiritual prohibition of the 9-spirit wand can be improved, and its grade can be improved. However, it is difficult to find spiritual treasures, and it is also difficult to find spiritual materials that can improve the quality of the 9-spirit wand. It's only up to chance. The cooling time of 500 days is approaching in the blink of an eye. Start simulation. Simulate on. 1. Feeling that cultivation is not easy, you decide to leave Jiuling Mountain to find opportunities. 2. The evil energy between heaven and earth has become even heavier, and you can only continue to sneak and hide, plundering towards the forbidden area where the Yuanling fruit tree is located. 3. Along the way, you encountered several fierce beast attacks, narrowly escaped death, and finally arrived at that forbidden place. 4th. You open the restriction, take down 9 elemental spirit fruits, and your strength increases again. However, you feel that this improvement is much smaller than last time. 5. You glanced at the spiritual treasure in the depths of the prohibition, but still resisted the temptation and left, continuing to drive south. 6. Fierce beasts occasionally appear and attack you. You dare not resist, and the Imperial Envoy's 9-spirit staff cannot escape all the way, hiding in a mountain range. 7. You feel that within the mountains, the innate fire spiritual power is very high. You explore inward all the way, and suddenly, you discover a prohibition. 8. You are overjoyed and have begun to crack the ban. After spending 100 years, you have finally lifted the ban. 9. You have found a group of Nanming Lihua, because you carry the 9-colored and innate fire affinity, and start refining Nanming Lihua. 10,000 years have passed, and you have finally refined the Nanming Lihua. Your cultivation has also broken through to the later stage of the Golden Immortal, and you have also comprehended the Lihua Law. 11. After refining the Nanming Lihua, continue to explore inside and discover the Lihua Flame Flag. 12. After spending 100,000 years, you have finally refined a spiritual prohibition of the Ground Flame Flag, and your cultivation is only 1 step away from the peak of the Golden Immortal. 13. You are preparing to return to Jiuling Mountain, and along the way, you will use the Nanming Lihua Divine Weapon and Lidi Flame Light Flag to slay many fierce beasts. 14. You are targeted by a ferocious beast at the level of Tai Golden Immortal. In a moment of crisis, you comprehend fire escape the pursuit of the ferocious beast, and finally return to Jiuling Mountain. 15. At this moment, you can see that Jiuling Mountain has long been conquered by fierce beasts, and the Deer clan has been destroyed. 16. You can't accept this fact, your mind is lost, you are infected by evil energy, you lose your rationality, and you start killing everywhere. 17. You take the initiative to attack the fierce beast at the level of Tai Golden Immortal, and after vigorously slaying one of its wings, you are ultimately defeated and killed. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 120,000 years and a cooling time of 330 years. You can keep one of the following options: I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Law of Leaving Fire in the Late Golden Immortal Period. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Law of Leaving Fire in the Late Golden Immortal Period. Looking at his simulation this time, Yuan Lu remained speechless for a long time. His gains this time were not only significant. Not only did he brush the Yuan spirit fruit again, improve his cultivation, but he also found the southern Ming Lihua, condensed the Lihua divine power, understood the Lihua law, and finally obtained the Lidi flame light flag against the heavens. Is this the benefit of improving his luck after defeating the wolf tribe? Besides, Yuan Lu couldn't think of any other possibilities. The emulator can have card bugs, which was discovered during the game of Yuan Lu in the previous life. However, it is not an unlimited card. Some things have clear limitations and cannot be used for repeated flashing. If used in the emulator, it will really disappear. For example, there are merits and virtues in the Tao, and there are also some others. Anyway, the clever use of the simulator still needs to be further explored. However, this time there was indeed a crisis of extermination in the Lu tribe, and Jiuling Mountain couldn't stop those ferocious beasts. The simulation lasted for 120,000 years, and Yuan Lu couldn't determine which time period the problem occurred in Jiuling Mountain. It seems that when the cooling time of 300 years is up, we need to simulate the extermination crisis once. If the time is too short, we need to find a way to migrate. Thinking too much is useless, Yuan Lu looked at the simulator and said, I choose the first option. Although this experience was very exciting and took a long time, no matter which one he chose, the rewards would be substantial. However, now he urgently needs to improve his strength. Compared to this, the rest has become a minor detail. After selection, the spiritual energy from a 1,000,000-mile radius of Jiuling Mountain once again converged towards Luling Peak. With the last experience, the deer tribe was not surprised but happy, and began to cultivate one after another, not daring to waste such an opportunity to improve their strength. On the Luling Peak, the Yuan Deer also completely fell into a state of enlightenment. Spiritual energy spontaneously converged into the Yuan Deer's body, and the creation of the Yuan Jing began to operate automatically without the guidance of the Yuan Deer. As the first deer since the opening of the flood, it was born with the great fortune of the deer tribe. The Yuan Deer not only had the 9 spirit wands as a companion spiritual treasure, but also the inheritance of the creation of the Yuan Jing. However, this skill can only be practiced up to the great Luo Golden Immortal, and there will be no more in the future. However, that's enough. Based on the memories of previous lives, even Sanqing and others had not broken through the quasi-holy path before Hongjun preached, which shows how difficult the road after the Luo Jin Xian was. In the practice of Honghuang, from low to high, there are 4 categories. Earthly Immortal, Heavenly Immortal, True Immortal, Xian, Jingxian, Tai Jingxian, Daoyuo Jingxian, Hunyuan Jingxian, Quasi-Saint, and Hunyuan Daoyuo Jingxian, Saint. At this time, the heaven and earth are full of spiritual energy, and they are all innate spiritual energy. The first group of races born from birth have the lowest qualifications at the innate level, only having high and low levels. After being born, their cultivation is based on the foundation of the earth immortals, just like the deer of the deer clan, anyone they bring out has the cultivation of the earth immortals. With the operation of the creation Yuan Jing, the cultivation of Yuan Lu gradually increased, and soon reached the late stage of the golden immortal period. At this time, it did not stop, and as it steadily improved, the laws of creation also slowly increased. Many mysteries of the laws of creation began to be revealed to Yuan Lu, with 41% and 42% reaching 80% before stopping. At this moment, the Yuan Deer became more sensitive to the creative vitality between heaven and earth, as if they could easily bestow or seize their vitality. Suddenly, Yuan Lu seemed to have caught a glimmer of spiritual light and completed a method of refining his body. Creation Forging Method. This is a method of forging one's body through the creation of heaven and earth. This kind of creation can be the vitality of all things, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the spiritual material and grass, or the elusive mechanism of creation. However, the creation of evil and death cannot be stopped. Therefore, this method of forging one's body emphasizes taking 10 to 3 and continuously improving one's vitality, otherwise there will be hidden dangers. Yuan Lu continued to deduce all the way until the peak of the Golden Immortal, and further up, it involved the application of the rules of creation, which Yuan Lu currently cannot achieve. The boundless spiritual energy surged towards the Yuan Deer, and its physical body grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The deer race is born with a strong physical body. The Yuan Deer already had the level of the early Golden Immortal period. Nowadays, there is a method of creating and forging the body to exercise the physical body, and the physical body gradually rises until the level of the later Golden Immortal period stops. At this moment, the red light in the 9-colored Yuan Deer burst forth in the shape of a flame, and gradually grew stronger under the nourishment of spiritual energy. That's right, this is the southern Minglihua, which was actually condensed into a divine power by Yuan Deer. You should know that the Nanming Lihua is a fire that deviates from the position of the innate Bagua. It is called one of the top 10 innate true fires along with the Sun true fire, the Capital heavenly divine fire, the Samadhi true fire, the Ziwei heavenly fire, the 9 heavenly Xian fire, the Red Lotus industry fire, the Nirvana fire, the Ghost fire of the underworld, and the 6 Ding divine fire. One of the 4 elemental spirits, the vermilion bird, has the greatest divine ability. When the Nanming Lihua comes out, even the Tai Golden Immortal and the Yuanlu can become strong. This is a great supplement to the Yuanlu who lacks killing skills. As the Southern Ming dynasty's fire grew stronger, Yuanlu seemed to be in a world filled with innate fire spirits, and various insights rose to his heart. At this moment, Yuanlu saw the origin, felt the fury of fire, the destruction of heaven and earth, and the burning of all beings in motion, the calmness of fire, the birth and creation of fire, sometimes illuminating heaven and earth to warm the world. So this is fire. At this moment, Yuanlu finally understood the law of fire. Although he only had 1 point, as long as he could get started and was willing to spend time in the future, Yuanlu would definitely be able to complete it. With a simulator, he was not lacking in time. Unfortunately, during the simulation, I actually got the ground flame flag. It would be great if I could redeem the ground flame flag. However, in an instant, Yuanlu shook his head again. He blamed himself for being a bit greedy, but with the Southern Ming Lihua, Yuanlu and the Ledi Flame Light flag also had an extra chance. When the fierce beast's calamity passed, Yuanlu went to search for treasure again, and there was definitely a high chance of obtaining the Ledi Flame Light flag, as well as the mirror-shaped spiritual treasure. This time his cultivation improved, perhaps he could try to retrieve the treasure. However, for safety reasons, it's better to simulate it first and wait until it's safe before going. As Yuanlu's cultivation ended, the spiritual energy scattered throughout the sky. However, Jiuling Mountain benefited greatly this time. Even without Yuanlu attracting the spiritual energy from heaven and earth, the concentration of Jiuling Mountain's spiritual energy increased by a few points. Stepping out of Luling Peak and counting with a pinch of fingers, it turned out that more than 200 years have passed. It is truly a day in the cave, and it has been 1,000 years in the world. Upon arriving at the tribe, I found that most of the deer tribe were practicing at this time, and those who had already completed their cultivation were also smiling and overjoyed, indicating that they had gained a lot. With the help of this spiritual tide, the golden deer completely consolidated the early cultivation of the Golden Immortal. The ink deer was only 1 step away from breaking through the Golden Immortal, while the silver deer and purple deer reached the late stage of the Xian Immortal. The other 6 leaders, even the red deer, had already reached the mid-stage of the Xian Immortal. Moreover, 11 true Immortal Peak Deer clans took the opportunity to break through the Xian Immortal, and the Xian Immortal level leaders of the Deer clan instantly reached 20. The number of true Immortals has reached over 1,000, and there are more than 10,000 heavenly Immortals. Without the threat of the wolf tribe, the reproduction of the deer tribe is no longer restricted. Due to their innate affinity for the laws of nature, the deer tribe has almost no danger in reproduction. On the contrary, it is easy. In just 200 years, the number of deer tribes has actually reached 100,000. Feeling that their luck has slightly increased with the increase of the population, Yuan deer have the intention of competing with the dragon, phoenix, and qilin for male and female. However, such thoughts were instantly choked to death by Yuan Lu in the bud. As strong as the ancestral dragon, he can only sacrifice himself for his life. He will conquer all corners of the world forever, and Yuan Lu does not believe that he can do better than the ancestral dragon. Moreover, there is a demon lord named Luoho who is watching closely. If he is targeted by Luoho, it will be a great disaster, so he should remain low-key. Thinking of the danger from the outside world, Yuan Lu felt a little restless and immediately calmed down. Only by winning the Lord could he last long, so he tried and passed away. End of this chapter. Chapter 6 First Lecture. The Great Way and Merit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 First Lecture. The Great Way and Merit. If one could understand the formation and set up a powerful mountain protection formation on Jiuling Mountain, it would be great. Perhaps there would be no need to take the risk of migrating. Migrating a tribe is simple, even Yuan Lu himself may not be safe, let alone leading a tribe to migrate. A slight mistake would lead to the downfall of the entire clan. Even if it were successful, it would be great if these over 100,000 members could survive by only 1/10. Moreover, with ferocious beasts scattered throughout the wilderness, where could they migrate? The reason why Jiuling Mountain is named Jiuling Mountain is because it is formed by the convergence of 9 earth veins. Although the concentration of spiritual energy is not as high as that of those blessed places, it is also a rare spiritual mountain. Next, Yuan Lu summoned the entire clan and passed down the method of creating and forging bodies. As the head of the clan, it is not enough for one person to be strong alone. Driving the entire clan to become stronger together is the king's way, and one cannot always be a nanny. The cooldown time quickly ended, and Yuan Lu didn't stop. He just started the next simulation to see when the extermination crisis was. Start simulation. Simulate on. 1. Feeling that the external beasts are rampant and too dangerous, you decide to continue practicing on Jiuling Mountain. 2. 10,000 years later, 2 Tai golden immortal level ferocious beasts fought a big battle above Jiuling Mountain, and the aftermath broke the ban on Jiuling Mountain, exposing Jiuling Mountain to the ferocious beasts. 3. Jiuling Mountain has been attacked by fierce beasts. If you resist with all your might, it will ultimately be difficult to defeat with 2 fists and 4 hands. Death. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 10,000 years and a cooling time of 30 years. You can keep one of the following options: I. Cultivation improved in simulation, 2. Mood improvement in simulation, 3. Combat experience gained in simulation, 10,000 years. Yuan Lu opened his eyes, and through this simulation, he finally knew the time of the extermination crisis. It was just 10,000 years later, and it seemed that there was still plenty of time. 10,000 years later, he couldn't say that he had already broken through to the level of Tai Golden Immortal. However, for safety reasons, in the subsequent simulation, we still need to try to understand the formation. The fierce beast battle at the level of 2 Tai Golden Immortals, as long as a large formation is set up on Jiuling Mountain, should be able to block it. Thinking of this, Yuan Lu's heart had an idea and was no longer as lost as before. After 10,000 years of cultivation, there may not be much improvement in cultivation. Looking at the remaining 2 items, Yuan Lu is still more inclined to improve his state of mind. His cultivation improvement during this period is not bad, but the cost of such a rapid improvement is that his state of mind cannot keep up. Yuan Lu can already feel the feeling of his own cultivation being somewhat superficial. After 10,000 years of hard cultivation, he should be able to improve his state of mind by a lot. As for combat experience, although Yuan Lu also wants it, there are priorities and the importance of his state of mind. I choose the second option. After choosing, Yuan Lu suddenly felt a moment of peace in his heart, and his whole body relaxed a lot. Various insights surged in his heart. The originally superficial cultivation quickly settled down, making his understanding of the rules clearer. This time, he indeed made the right choice. Although he had a later cultivation of the Golden Immortal and even reached the pinnacle of the Golden Immortal, his mental state could not keep up, and the improvement of his cultivation became a burden, just like a child swinging a sledgehammer, unable to handle it. Now we have the corresponding volume. After a cooling time of 30 years, Yuan Lu thought for a moment and immediately transmitted the message to the entire clan. 3 days later, at the foot of Luling Peak, I will preach for 30 years, and everyone will come to listen. Speaking of which, the practice of the Deer clan has not yet formed a systematic system, and the cultivation methods are not the Yuan Lu's creation Yuan Jing. After all, the creation Yuan Jing requires extremely high qualifications and is suitable for Yuan Lu's cultivation. It may not necessarily be suitable for the Deer clan, and only the 9 great commanders including the Golden Deer have been passed down. Now is also the time to sort out a prosperous path for the Deer clan. At the foot of Luling Peak, the Lu tribe was overjoyed to hear that Yuan Lu was going to preach in 3 days. Although they were one tribe, better than those who were alone, their path of cultivation was entirely based on their own exploration. Occasionally, they could seek advice from their peers or elders, but they didn't dare to disturb them too much. They had accumulated many problems and hidden dangers, and some even had their cultivation stagnated due to this. Now that the clan leader is preaching, it is a great opportunity. There is no need to wait for 3 days. On the first day alone, the Deer tribe was all concentrated under the Luling Peak, surrounded by the Luling Peak, divided by cultivation levels before and after. It seemed very orderly. 3 days later, Yuan Lu came to the top of Luling Peak and sat down, looking at the Deer tribe under the Luling Peak. He nodded and sat steadily, without any noise. It seemed that his education had been very successful. Starting from preaching now, the path of creation and the path of destiny. Seeing the Yuan Deer speak, all the Deer race observe the nose, the heart, and listen attentively. For 20 years, Yuan Lu, based on his own understanding, recounted the mysteries of creation, from simplicity to complexity, and then from complexity to simplicity. Even the little deer in the fairyland could have some understanding. At the same time as preaching, Yuan Lu also deepened his understanding of the laws of creation. At this point, he finally understood that preaching to others was not just a sorting out of his own cultivation, but he couldn't help but be more serious. In the end, Yuan Lu simplified a cultivation method from the creation of the Yuan Jing. Although it can only be practiced to the level of Golden Immortal, it is most suitable for the Deer tribe with qualifications below 7 colored. Compared to their previous experience of relying solely on instinct to cultivate qi and rest, it is much better. Yuan Lu also passed down several techniques he had comprehended one by one, including the hiding method that uses living plants and trees to conceal his body's aura, the sword transforming method that uses living plants and trees to attack with swords, and the protective method that uses living plants and trees to protect himself. These are all small techniques that are simple to practice, but extremely practical. For the Deer tribe, they may be more suitable than obtaining spiritual treasures. In the last 10 years, Yuan Lu asked them to express their doubts and start answering them one by one. For some simple questions, they were asked to discuss with each other. 10 years passed quickly, and Yuan Lu quietly retreated, but the preaching was not over. A dark yellow light shone down, and Yuan Lu looked at the Tao merit that came towards him. His eyes couldn't help but show a smile of joy. He had really taken the right step. Before, he had been thinking about whether there would be merit rewards for preaching. After all, in his previous life, there were precedents in novels, so he didn't want to bet correctly. As it was his first preaching, there were still many Dao merit rewards. Yuan Lu did not immediately absorb it, but pondered and immersed himself in the invisible Qingyun behind his mind. The originally clear invisible Qingyun now had an additional dark yellow color, because at this time, the heavenly way had not yet emerged, and the vast wilderness was still under the supervision of the Great Way. What came down was also the Great Way merit, which was not like the heavenly way merit, with many hidden dangers. Whether it is used to absorb refining and improve cultivation, or added to spiritual treasures, the merit of the Tao is indescribable. However, good steel needs to be used on the blade. Yuan Lu is ready to use it when breaking through the Tai Golden Immortal, or find an opportunity to penetrate the 9-spirit staff. Moreover, it can be said that the cultivation derived from this great virtue is not reliable at all, and it is better not to use it unless absolutely necessary. Looking at the deer tribe under Jiuling Peak, Yuan Lu suddenly felt that he could continue to preach frequently in the future. The cooling time of 30 years has come, and Yuan Lu returns to his cave, ready to start simulating. Start simulation. Seeking collection and recommendation tickets, book enthusiasts can chat with Xiaolu if they have any ideas. Thank you for your support. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The Yin-Yang Mirror, looking forward to the treasure fragments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Yin-Yang Mirror, looking forward to the treasure fragments simulate on. 1. The crisis of extermination is approaching, and you want to go out and look for opportunities, but finally you have walked out of Jiuling Mountain. 2. At this moment, the evil energy between heaven and earth becomes more intense. Being immersed in it, you feel like your mind is covered in a shadow. At this moment, a golden ring of merit appears in the back of your head, and your mind is finally free. 3. A fierce beast at the peak of the Golden Immortal discovered you, and you engaged in a fierce battle. After a battle, you killed the beast with Nanming Lihua. 4th. A ferocious beast at the level of Tai Golden Immortal has discovered you, and you are seriously injured and invincible. In a moment of crisis, you must comprehend the concept of fire escape and escape. 5. You have arrived at the forbidden area where the Yuan spirit fruit tree is located. After taking 9 Yuan spirit fruits, your injuries heal. However, the cultivation improvement brought by this dimension of Yuan spirit fruits to you is negligible. 6. You continue to explore deeper and discover a mirror-shaped spirit treasure. The mirror-shaped spirit treasure emits a white light. As you are prepared, you can easily avoid it. 7. You have obtained the top quality innate spiritual treasure Yin-Yang Mirror, and it took you thousands of years to finally refine a congenital spiritual prohibition of the Yin-Yang Mirror. 8. You have stepped out of the prohibition and headed east. You feel like there is a chance for you there. 9. You have been attacked by a ferocious beast at the level of Tai Golden Immortal. You hold a Yin-Yang Mirror, cut off one wing of the ferocious beast, and leave injured. 10. You have found a forbidden place, and it took thousands of years to finally open it. You see a spiritual treasure fragment, but this fragment has strong spirituality, even stronger than the Yin-Yang Mirror. 11. You tried to come forward to retrieve the treasure, but were attacked and you died. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 1,200 years and a cooling time of 4 years. You can keep one of the following options. I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. Dead. Yuan Lu felt a bit disheartened. He was even more curious about the fragment of the spiritual treasure than the Yin-Yang Mirror. After all, what fragment of the spiritual treasure could be more spiritual than the top-grade innate spiritual treasure Yin-Yang Mirror? Perhaps at least it must be the top-quality innate spiritual treasure. No, the innate treasure is also about the same, isn't it? Thinking of that treasure, Yuan Lu's heart skipped a beat. Unfortunately, he didn't know which unscrupulous and smoking person had attacked him. He had almost no reaction and disappeared, indicating the strength of this person. Suppress the pressure and go explore your heart now. The mirror-shaped spiritual treasure in that forbidden area turned out to be an yin-yang mirror. He had some understanding of this mirror and had even commented on this spiritual treasure in his past life when reading the list of gods. This mirror has two sides, yin and yang. The yin side is white, the yang side is red represents life, and white represents death. It can kill or return the person it shines on, confusing yin and yang. It is extremely mysterious and powerful. It seems we're going on a trip. With an idea in mind, Yuan Lu began to choose rewards. Looking at those three items, Yuan Lu almost didn't hesitate to choose the third one. I choose the third option. After selection, images flooded into Yuan Lu's mind one by one. Yuan Lu seemed to be immersed in it, first slaying the fierce beast at the peak of the Golden Immortal, and then fighting against the fierce beast of the Tai Golden Immortal. So this is what done. A burst of flames suddenly appeared, and the figure of Yuan Lu appeared at a corner of Jiuling Mountain. At this moment, two deer were planning to reproduce. When they saw Yuan Lu suddenly appear, they quickly bowed, but did not receive a response for a long time. Upon closer inspection, Yuan Lu had already disappeared. With the accumulation of combat experience, Yuan Lu's 9-spirit staff couldn't help but wave. During the battle, based on the laws of creation and fire, he understood two types of staff techniques, and now Yuan Lu has reproduced them. Good staff technique. This time, I didn't lose out. Not only did I understand the method of fire escape, but I also learned two powerful staff techniques. I also gained some experience in using the Nanming Lihua divine technique, and my strength increased by no more than 3 points. Taking a glance at Jiuling Mountain, Yuan Lu did not hesitate and stepped out. During the simulation, taking the yin and yang mirror did not pose a threat to his life. At most, he was injured. Now, he has the powerful staff techniques of fire escape and 2 moves, which are even less dangerous and worth a trip. Not far away, he indeed encountered the fierce beast attack from the peak of the Golden Immortal. The prepared Yuan Lu directly sacrificed his 9-spirit staff and descended from the fire. This is one of the 2 forms of the obtained staff technique, which was created based on the law of Lihua. The 9-spirit staff wrapped around Nanming Lihua and hit the fierce beast at the peak of the Golden Immortal, killing it with just 1 staff. What a powerful force! No matter how realistic the simulation is, it's not as good as experiencing it firsthand. Yuan Lu's originally calm heart actually became restless again because of this stick. Fortunately, the fierce beast Tai Jin Xian splashed him with a basin of cold water, letting him know the dangers of the world. The Tai Golden Immortal fierce beast arrived as promised, and Yuan Lu was already prepared. He descended from the fire and rebelled against nature, using both staff techniques. In the Southern Ming dynasty, Li Fire was hidden and took the opportunity to hit the Tai Golden Immortal fierce beast, causing a heavy blow. Despite using all these methods and seizing all the opportunities, the Tai Golden Immortal fierce beast still fiercely injured Yuan Lu and was about to be buried under the claws of the fierce beast. Yuan Lu dared not delay and quickly used fire escape to escape. Having escaped danger, Yuan Lu's face was filled with fear. This was the gap between the Golden Immortal and the Tai Golden Immortal. This was the gap between rules and regulations, and it was not something that could be erased by a spiritual treasure or a divine skill. The following journey, as simulated before, followed the induction without any shock or waves and arrived at the forbidden area. The light chariot skillfully opened the restriction, and indeed a Yuan spirit fruit tree appeared in front of Yuan Lu, with 9 Yuan spirit fruits hanging on it. Picking a Yuan Ling fruit and taking it, Yuan Lu regained his injury and began to use his means to transfer the Yuan Ling fruit tree to his stomach. For the Yuan Deer who embody the laws of creation, transplanting a Yuan spirit fruit tree is simply not too simple. The deer race naturally has space in their belly, and it will increase with their cultivation. The collection of Yuan Deer is all stored in their belly. Nowadays, there are not many Yuan spirit fruit trees. Without delaying any time, Yuan Lu continued to walk inward, and indeed the yin-yang mirror was at its deepest point. Looking at the yin-yang mirror hanging on the stone platform, Yuan Lu was already prepared and easily avoided the white light. Then he quickly approached and took off the yin-yang mirror. The power of the yin-yang mirror is not unlimited. Every time white or red light is released, energy needs to be stored. This is especially true for spirit treasures that are uncontrollable and attack spontaneously. If he had known for the first time that this spiritual treasure was at yin-yang mirror, Yuan Lu wouldn't have had to go through so much trouble. A white light startled him 3 or 4 times to simulate, but fortunately he finally succeeded. Feeling the spirituality of the yin-yang mirror, it truly deserves to be a top-grade innate spiritual treasure. There are a total of 30 innate spiritual prohibitions, which are also considered excellent among the top-grade innate spiritual treasures. With the yin-yang mirror in hand, Yuan Lu's strength has not only increased by a small amount. With the help of simulation experience, Yuan Lu has refined an innate spiritual prohibition of the yin-yang mirror in just 100 years, and it is now barely usable. However, at this moment, Yuan Lu was hesitating about something. The fragment always haunted him, why not simulate it again here? Thinking of this, Yuan Lu no longer hesitated. Last time he simulated the refining of the yin-yang mirror, he used it for 1,000 years, but this time it only took 100 years, a full 900 years. Perhaps he could successfully obtain the spiritual treasure fragment this time. Start simulation. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Destiny of the Jade Plate Fragments, preparing to return. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Destiny of the Jade Plate Fragments, preparing to return. Simulate on. 1. After obtaining the yin-yang mirror in the prohibition, your confidence exploded and you decided to go and retrieve the Lingbao fragments. 2. You encounter over 100 migrating ferocious beasts, the demon ape, and before you react, you are crushed. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 3 days and a cooling time of 15 minutes. You can keep one of the following options: I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. Is it so dangerous outside now? This simulation is simply breaking the shortest survival time of Yuan Lu. It only lived for 3 days before being crushed. It's really off the charts. However, this 15-minute cooldown time is very user-friendly. Yuan Lu suddenly realized that he could use this method to test the safest route in the future, as 15 minutes is just a blink of an eye. I choose the third option. After the selection, the scene of Yuan Lu struggling in the fierce beast demon ape group suddenly came out, and the feeling of being there made Yuan Lu sweat hard on his back, almost unable to bear it, and he fainted directly. It wasn't the first time he died in the simulation, but this kind of death method was really a first attempt, and Jianji didn't want to experience it again. 15 minutes later, Yuan Lu tidied up his mood and began his second simulation. Start simulation. Simulate on. 1. After obtaining the yin-yang mirror in the prohibition, your confidence exploded and you decided to go and retrieve the Lingbao fragments. 2. You encounter a fierce beast at the level of the Luo Jin Xian, and before you react, it is swallowed in one gulp and dies. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 2 days and a cooling time of 15 minutes. You can keep one of the following options: I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation, breaking the record again. This time it's even more outrageous, it only lived for 2 days. The fierce beast at the level of the Luo Jin Xian died unjustly. I choose the third option. Yuan Lu finally saw the appearance of the fierce beast at the level of the great Luo Golden Immortal, with a sheep body and human face, eyes under the armpits, and tiger teeth and human hands. It turned out that this was one of the 4 major ferocious beasts, Tao Tai. How could it be here? Legend has it that among the ferocious beast tribulations, there are 4 most powerful beasts. Taotai, Chochi, Hundun, and Taowu. These 4 beasts even reached the level of quasi-saints when the great cataclysm of the fierce beast truly broke out, extremely cruel and in danger of extinction. And this gluttonous beast is located in the south, and I didn't expect him to be so unlucky as to encounter it. His death is really not unjustified. When not boasting to people, one can say. Have you ever been eaten by a gluttonous beast? I have been eaten before. 15 minutes later, Yuan Lu began to simulate again. Today, he had already spent time with that precious fragment. Last time, he deliberately changed his route, but this time he changed again. If he didn't believe it, he wouldn't have had any good luck. Start simulation. This is already the 10th simulation of Yuan Lu. Simulate on. 1. After obtaining the yin-yang mirror in the prohibition, your confidence exploded and you decided to go and retrieve the Lingbao fragments. 2. After passing 5 levels and slaying 6 generals, you finally arrived at a forbidden place. It took 1,000 years to finally open the forbidden place. 3. You see a forbidden fragment, and you have obtained the fragments of the creation jade plate. 4th. You dare not stay and directly return to Jiuling Mountain. 5. After 1,000 years, you finally refined the fragments of the creation jade plate. You found that the fragments of the creation jade plate contained the array path, elixir path, and tool path. 6. After 10,000 years, you finally understand the principles of formation and path. 7. Jiuling Mountain was affected by the aftermath of the Tai Golden Immortal level fierce beast battle, and the prohibition was destroyed. The fierce beast attacked Jiuling Mountain. You resisted with all your might, but ultimately you were defeated and died. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 12,000 years and a cooling time of 30 years. You can keep one of the following options. I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. OK. At the end of the simulation, Yuan Lu's face unconsciously showed a joyful expression. The precious fragment was actually a fragment of the creation jade plate, which was said to be a fragment of the creation jade plate. According to legend, Pangu had 3 treasures, all of which were treasures at the level of Chaos Supreme Treasure. One was the Pangu axe, the other was the 36th grade creation green lotus, and finally the creation jade plate. This was the treasure of enlightenment, containing the supreme treasure of the 3,000 great paths. However, when the great god Pangu opened the sky, the jade plate of creation shattered and scattered throughout the wilderness. Unexpectedly, Yuan Lu had the opportunity to encounter one of them. This piece of jade plate fragments from the creation of nature should be the smaller one, containing only 3 major paths. However, this is already surprising. Although the Dan path, tool path, and formation path are not among the top 3,000 paths, they are also the 3 essential treasures for cultivation and a good medicine to assist in cultivation. If one can understand them, it will be very beneficial for future cultivation. Moreover, it also includes the formation that Yuan Lu has been longing for, so the Lu tribe doesn't need to migrate anymore. They can simply set up a large formation on Jiuling Mountain. Thinking that he had comprehended the principles of formation in the simulation, Yuan Lu was even more certain in his heart. I choose the first option. After choosing, various insights surged in his heart. Yuan Lu seemed to have seen the source of the formation, including the illusion formation, trapped formation, and killing formation. The formation was stacked and decomposed, and at this moment, the previously unknown formation finally opened up a corner for him. 1 point for the formation rule. Even the cultivation has increased by 1 point. Yuan Lu did not continue to deepen his cultivation. This simulation confirmed his point that after the time difference, the person who attacked him did not exist. Since there was no danger in this simulation, it is not advisable to delay. It is better to get the fragments of the creation jade plate as early as possible. If such a precious treasure cannot be seen or touched, he may not even be able to cultivate well and must fall into a demonic state. After clearing all the spiritual herbs and materials within the forbidden area, Yuan Lu stepped out of the forbidden area and followed the selected route in the simulation towards the forbidden area where the creation jade plate was located. Along the way, there were indeed many Jin Xian ferocious beasts and Tai Yi Jin Xian ferocious beasts. Yuan Lu executed the strategy in the simulation, avoiding them if possible, and leaving with a single blow if not possible. He never dared to fight, and finally safely reached the forbidden area where the fragments of the creation jade plate were located. However, breaking the prohibition did not take as long as in the simulation. Previously, he was not familiar with the formation and could only use clumsy methods to crack it forcefully. Now, it is different. He has entered the formation and the previously seemingly difficult prohibition has become much simpler. It only took 30 years to break the prohibition. At this time, Yuan Lu also discovered that breaking the prohibition can deepen his understanding of the formation rules. By breaking the innate prohibition in front of him, Yuan Lu has made progress in his understanding of the formation rules. After entering the prohibition, Yuan Lu finally saw the fragments of his cherished creation jade plate. It's hard to imagine that there are 3 great paths hidden in this small piece, each of which can help people break through the great Luo Golden Immortal and even achieve the Holy Way. Pack up your mood. Yuan Lu didn't rush to leave, but prepared to simulate first and see if there was any danger on the return journey. Start simulation. 1. You have obtained the fragments of the jade butterfly from the creation and are preparing to return to Jiuling Mountain. 2. You have encountered the Tai Golden Immortal ferocious beast and died. This simulation is over, with a simulation time of 3 days and a cooling time of 15 minutes. You can keep one of the following options. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. Sure enough, there was danger. After choosing the third option, Yuan Lu discovered that it was actually a fierce beast at the peak of the Tai Golden Immortal. No wonder he died so naturally. Continue. After 7 simulations, Yuan Lu finally found a safe route back to Jiuling Mountain. At this moment, Yuan Lu finally felt at ease, cleared all the spiritual herbs and materials within the forbidden area, placed them in the inner space, and walked away. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Encountering the Congenital Purple Bamboo Crossing Robbery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Encountering the Congenital Purple Bamboo Crossing Robbery. Prohibition relies on the earth's veins, and there are no ferocious beasts raging within it. There are many innate spiritual materials and herbs that grow. If you don't take them away, it would be a pity. It happens to be planted in Jiuling Mountain when you go back, and in the future, you can understand the weapon and elixir paths, which can also be used for refining weapons and elixirs. Following the simulated route, the Yuan Deer began to return, but the evil energy between heaven and earth became even stronger over time. Fortunately, the Yuan Deer had a merit golden ring. When the evil energy approached, the merit manifested as a golden ring protecting the Yuan Deer's back, which had the ability to resist the evil energy. This made Yuan Lu even more grateful that he didn't rush to use his merits, but instead kept them. The great Tao merits were simply so useful, if only there were more. Along the way, there were occasional fierce beasts attacking Yuan Lu, and even those below the Golden Immortal level dared to attack Yuan Lu in a frenzy. The outside world was becoming increasingly dangerous, but after killing the fierce beasts, Yuan Lu could clearly feel that his luck was increasing bit by bit. Although this increase was like water entering the sea, which was almost invisible, it was also considerable if a small amount accumulated. Should we go back and set up a large formation before organizing our tribe members to clean the nearby ferocious beasts? At this time, the ferocious beasts are rampant in the wilderness and have already been harmed by the Great Way. Killing the ferocious beasts may not only improve one's luck, but after the calamity of the ferocious beasts, there may also be merit descending. Realizing the benefits brought by merit and luck, Yuan Lu finds it difficult to remain unmoved. But there's no rush, go back and simulate a few times. If there's not too much danger, it's still worth it. Boom! Waves of thunder fell and stopped Yuan Lu's footsteps. Looking at the place where the thunder was raging, it turned out to be a thunder disaster. Yuan Lu cannot take every step at the simulation time point. After all, simulation is simulation, reality is reality. Simulation only brings more convenience to Yuan Lu. At this time, Yuan Lu is a bit behind the simulation time point, and unexpectedly encounters someone crossing the tribulation. It seems that this is a transformation of thunder tribulation. After hesitating for a moment, Yuan Lu decided to conduct a deduction. If there was not too much danger, he would go and explore. The general qualifications for crossing the form of thunder calamity in the fierce beast quantity calamity would not be too poor. If he could use it for his own benefit, it would enhance the strength of the Lu tribe. Even if he failed to cross the calamity, his essence would be a rare material, which is really good for refining weapons. With an idea in mind, Yuan Lu immediately began to simulate. Start simulation. Simulate on. On your way back to Jiuling Mountain, you happen to encounter the innate purple bamboo crossing Robbery, so you lean over, too. At this point, Xiantian Zijou has already passed the first 3 thunder tribulations, but the thunder tribulations have attracted more than 10 fierce beasts. When Xiantian Zijou passes the thunder tribulations, he rushes forward. 3. Xiantian Zijou has finally overcome the thunder calamity, but at this time, Xiantian Zijou has been seriously injured by the thunder calamity, exhausted from spiritual decline, and despairing to the extreme as a fierce beast approaches. 4th. You have taken action and killed all the fierce beasts besieging Xiantian purple bamboo. 5. Innate purple bamboo appreciates your life-saving kindness and wishes to worship you as a teacher. She will also give you the 3 radiances divine water that nourishes her and the accompanying spiritual treasure thunder whip as a gift to worship. 6. You take the innate purple bamboo as your named disciple and take half of the 3 radiances divine water as your apprenticeship gift. 7. Another fierce beast is attacking, you have returned to Jiuling Mountain with the congenital purple bamboo, this simulation is over, with a simulation time of 3 months and a cooling time of 1 day. You can keep one of the following options: I. Cultivation improved in simulation. 2. Mood improvement in simulation. 3. Combat experience gained in simulation. In fact, simulations do not necessarily end with the death of Yuan Lu. Just like Yuan Lu wants to know whether he can participate in a thunder robbery and safely return to Jiuling Mountain. Once the goal is achieved, the simulation naturally ends. Congenital purple bamboo. Unexpectedly, it was able to transform into form in the fierce beast tribulation. It should be noted that among the creatures in the wilderness, the grass and wood elves are the most difficult to transform. Although the innate purple bamboo is the first purple bamboo in nature, if you want to transform, it should not be in the fierce beast tribulation. Being able to transform in the dragon and phoenix tribulation would be great. But seeing the 3 lights divine water, Yuan Lu is no longer surprised. The 3 lights are the 3 lights of the sun, moon, and stars, so these 3 light divine waters are the sunlight divine water, moonlight divine water, and starlight divine water. The 3 light divine water is an innate divine water with remarkable power. The sunlight divine water wears away blood, essence, bones, and flesh. The moonlight divine water corrodes the elemental divine soul, and the starlight divine water dissolves the true spiritual consciousness. Ordinary creatures will die and disappear if they touch one of them. But the mystery of the 3 light divine water lies here. 3 different types of use are sharp weapons for hurting people, while 3 types of use together are the first holy medicine for healing in the wilderness. They can relieve all kinds of poisons and overcome all so-called incurable poisons. It can also live dead flesh and bones, nourish essence and blood, bone and flesh, essence and true spirit, and achieve the effect of rebirth. If the grass and wood elves are watered for a long time, they can also promote their maturity, which is truly extraordinary. For the 3 light divine water Yuan Deer, it is also a must-have. This is the innate divine water, whether it is condensed into the 9 colored or transformed into the 9 spirit staff to enhance its quality, it is rare and cannot be missed. Since there is not much danger in the simulation, it is necessary to make a trip. However, this innate purple bamboo actually has accompanying spiritual treasures. It seems that the lowest qualifications should be lower grade innate gods and demons, and being his disciple is also sufficient. Without any delay, he leaned forward and saw a large mountain in front of Yuan Lu. Compared to Jiuling Mountain, it was much worse, but it could also be considered as having sufficient spiritual energy. At this moment, a purple bamboo plant that was 99 zhang tall was being struck by lightning, and its branches occasionally swung a whip-shaped spiritual treasure to drive away the thunder. It seemed that it was the lightning whip. Lower grade innate spiritual treasure. At a glance, Yuan Lu could tell the grade of the thunder whip. The thunder whip was just right to restrain thunder, and it was twice as effective for the innate purple bamboo to cross the calamity with half the effort. With this spiritual treasure in hand, innate purple bamboo should have no problem crossing the thunder calamity. At this moment, there are more than 10 golden immortal level ferocious beasts waiting to be unleashed around the mountain, and there is still a lingering forbidden aura around. The innate purple bamboo should have been hiding in the forbidden area for cultivation until today when it was broken by the transformation thunderbolt. More than 10 golden immortal level ferocious beasts are not a problem, so I will try the power of the yin-yang mirror later. After the 8 thunder tribulations, the body of Xiantian Zizhu has shown a trend of breaking through 99 zhang. However, the thunderous bombardment has clearly injured it, and even the Yuanling is uncertain. However, as the 3 light divine water below Xiantian Zizhu is helping it recover, Yuanlu is no longer worried. Sure enough, the aura of the innate purple bamboo quickly stabilized, and the 9th thunder calamity also fell quickly. Compared to the previous 8th thunder calamity, the power of the 9th thunder calamity was even greater than the sum of the powers of the first 8th thunder calamity. When the thunder descended, it shattered many branches of the innate purple bamboo, losing its vitality. Even the lightning whip fell, and the bamboo body cracked inch by inch. If it weren't for the nourishment of the 3 radiances divine water, the innate purple bamboo might have been torn apart. Fortunately, the thunder calamity has finally dispersed, but the thunder calamity has passed and the fierce beast calamity has arrived. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Accepting the purple spirit and the 3 light divine water. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Accepting the purple spirit and the 3 light divine water. After overcoming the thunder disaster, the congenital purple bamboo finally took shape, with slender thighs, a flat lower abdomen, towering peaks, goose necks, red lips, bright eyes and white teeth. It looked like it was only 18 or 19 years old, but it was incredibly beautiful. The only downside is that the hair is a bit messy, and the small face is also stained with black spots. It seems that the power of thunder and tribulation has indeed caused significant damage. Just as she transformed, looking at her own body, Xiantian Zizhu felt a bit inappropriate. She summoned the fallen branches and transformed them into a purple long dress to wear on her body. Yuanlu also timely withdrew his gaze. After all, it's not good to look at a girl so directly. In fact, it is not that innate gods and demons have transformed into humans. At this time, there was no one who said this. The reason why they transformed into such a human form is only because it is the closest form to the innate Tao body, which is more conducive to cultivation, enlightenment, and combat. When Enyu Hua created humans, she also created them by kneading soil according to her own appearance. At this time, Yuanlu was also like this. After transforming into a young man in his 20s and 80s, Yuanlu's appearance was not handsome, but it gave people a feeling of kindness. This was influenced by the laws of nature. After traveling through time, Yuanlu did not deliberately change his image, but his personality was different after all, and his face couldn't help but become a bit more determined. Xiantian Zijou was about to recover from his injury, but he was forced to retreat by a burst of evil energy, and the fierce beast finally launched an attack. Looking at the more than 10 ferocious beasts in front of her, Xiantian Zijou couldn't help but feel a bit desperate. After overcoming the thunder disaster, although she also had the cultivation of a golden immortal, she was already seriously injured at this time. Her strength was not 1/10 of her peak, but she had to face more than 10 ferocious beasts whose cultivation strength was stronger than her own. This is the fate of her. Quickly dodging the attack of the fierce beast, she wanted to delay time to restore her strength, and then find a way to escape. However, there are too many ferocious beasts, and her ideas cannot be realized at all. The old injuries have not been healed, and new injuries have been added. The consciousness of the innate purple bamboo is gradually blurring. Is it really about to die? Just as Xiantian Zijou was about to accept her fate, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. This person had a resolute expression on his face, and as he swung his staff, he dealt a scattered blow to the fierce beast rushing towards him. So strong! Xiantian Zijou couldn't help but exclaim in her heart. Although she didn't know who saved her, looking at the person's face, Xiantian Zijou felt incredibly friendly and didn't dare to delay. She began to draw the 3 radiances divine water to recover from her injury. Watching the movements of Xiantian Zijou, Yuanlu couldn't help but nod. If Xiantian Zijou still foolishly wanted to help at this time, he really had to think about whether to take this disciple or not. Watching the fierce beast pounce again, Yuanlu offered a yin-yang mirror to shine on one of them. He saw that the fierce beast's charge did not diminish, but its divine light had already dissipated. As soon as the charge passed, it fell to the ground and unexpectedly died like this. Good baby. Yuanlu looked at the yin-yang mirror in his hand with surprise, truly worthy of being a top-grade innate spiritual treasure. A white light shot out, fearing that Tai Jingxian might not have dodged in time and have been hit. Next, Yuanlu waved his 9 spirit wands to repel the fierce beasts that rushed forward. When the yin-yang mirror was fully charged, he shone, and in the blink of an eye, half of the more than 10 fierce beasts had gone. If there were some spiritual beings who were already afraid to retreat, it would be a pity that the ferocious beasts lack spiritual intelligence and only know that the creatures in front of them can eat, without any other thoughts. The power of the yin-yang mirror has also been tried almost, and Yuanlu did not delay his efforts anymore. He smashed the 9 spirit staff and descended into the world in the form of Lihua, triggering the southern Ming Lihua divine power to shield the remaining ferocious beasts and burn them directly. Congenital purple bamboo, whose injury was barely stable, just opened his eyes and saw this scene. A hint of shock couldn't help but appear in his eyes. Looking at Yuanlu, who stood still like a god and demon, his heart moved as if he had made some kind of determination. I saw Xiantian Zijou step up to Yuanlu and kneel directly to the ground. Thank you very much for saving your life, senior. Please accept Zijou as your disciple and let Zijou repay this great kindness. As he spoke, he took out the 3 radiances divine water and the thunder/whip. Senior, this is the 3 radiances divine water and the lower grade innate spirit treasure thunder/whip. Purple bamboo is willing to offer these 2 treasures to senior, and I hope you will accept them. Innate purple bamboo is indeed like in a simulation, offering treasures to worship her master. This girl has a good heart, and after being accepted as an apprentice, she should be obedient. Looking at the 3 lights divine water in her hand, Yuanlu slowly spoke up. You do have a connection with me as a master disciple, but it's not that simple to become my disciple. If you're willing, you can first name me as a disciple. Upon hearing this, Xiantian Zijou was not only not disappointed, but also had a joyful expression on his face. In his opinion, as long as he could follow Yuanlu's side, as long as she worked hard to cultivate and served wholeheartedly, one day she could fulfill her wish and become a formal disciple. In fact, there are also some considerations for Xiantian Zijou's apprenticeship. One is to repay Yuan Lu's life-saving kindness, and the other is to perceive the strong evil energy between heaven and earth. Now that her spiritual mountain prohibition is completely destroyed, if there are any more ferocious beasts coming, she may not have a second life to be saved. At this time, the best way is to shelter from the strong, and Yuan Lu is not the strong who sends her to her door. Master Xie, please accept these two treasures. I will work hard to cultivate and serve you wholeheartedly to repay your kindness. Please accept these two treasures. Looking at Xiantian Zijou, not only did he not feel resentful for his words, but he also had a grateful expression on his face. Yuan Lu also developed a certain liking for him and took half of the 3 light divine water from his hand. This is your apprenticeship ceremony. You can keep the rest. You can cultivate the thunder path and waterway. These 2 treasures are just right for you. It's not suitable to stay here for a long time. Please tidy up and follow me back to the mountain. Xiantian Zijou didn't seem to be lying when she saw Yuan Lu. After hesitating, she put away the thunder whip and the remaining half of the 3 light divine water. However, she admired Yuan Lu even more in her heart. Looking at her place where she had been practicing for many years, Xiantian Zijou only put away some of the innate spiritual objects and came to Yuan Lu's side. Master, let's go. Yuan Lu didn't say much, but with the burning light on his feet, he disappeared in place with the congenital purple bamboo. Jiuling Mountain. Xiantian Zijou looked at the deer herd, the spiritual creatures on the mountain, and felt the rich innate spiritual energy. This place was much better than the place she had practiced before. Clan Leader. When Yuan Lu left, he entrusted the affairs of his clan to Jin Lu. Now that Yuan Lu has finally returned, the 20 commanders hurriedly came to welcome him. Yuan Lu nodded in response, "This is my named disciple Ziling." Upon hearing this, Jin Lu and other commanders were surprised. Just now, they were wondering how Yuan Lu had brought back a female cultivator. Unexpectedly, she was a disciple of Yuan Lu. Feeling the stronger cultivation of the purple spirit than theirs, they dared not neglect it and quickly wanted to say hello. But when it comes to greeting, I actually have a silly look. After all, it's also the first time I've seen the clan leader accept disciples, and I really don't know how to address them. Yuan Lu immediately noticed everyone's hesitation and said, "It's good for you to call each other Dao friends. On the road, I hope there are only friends and no enemies. I've met my Taoist friend." Upon hearing Yuan Lu's reminder, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Yuan Lu's inexplicable expression, not knowing the meaning behind it. Xiling also saw the group of golden deers for the first time. Even though she had reached the level of golden immortal, she was a bit reserved and responded in a low voice, "I have seen all my fellow Taoists." Yuan Lu smiled and pointed his finger at the commanding officer Jin Lu, saying, "All right, this is the method of battle formation. Next, you can lead your tribe to practice. There may be a big battle in the future, so don't slack off." Upon hearing the words, Jin Lu and other commanders were taken aback, but they didn't have time to see the battle tactics that Yuan Lu had introduced to their minds. "Obey," they said. Yuan Lu nodded and returned to Luling Peak with purple spirit. There are 9 peaks in Jiuling Mountain, and Luling Peak is the center of the 9 peaks, where spiritual energy converges. Yuan Lu transformed earlier than Yuan Lang and took over this peak first, naming it Luling Peak. In other words, this was also a trigger for the Second Clan War. Xiling, you can find a place to open up a cave yourself. After your injury recovers, come find me again. After speaking, Yuan Lu returned to the peak. End of this chapter.